Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's NASCAR Cam video teleconference in advance of Saturday night Samsung Mobile 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. Our guest today is Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 17 Crown Royal Black Ford in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Matt joins us from NASCAR's Research and Development Center today in Concord, North Carolina. Matt is currently ninth in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series point standings with 1 pole and 3 top 10 finishes in the first 6 races this season. Matt has also been successful at Texas Motor Speedway in 17 starts at the 1.5-mile track. Matt has 11 top 10 finishes, including a win in 2002. Matt also has the second best average finish at Texas, finishing an average of 9.5. Matt, as we head to Texas for its first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race under the lights, what's your outlook for this weekend?
Well, I love going to Texas. It's always been a good track for us there. We've always performed pretty well there as an organization as well as our individual team. So it's one that I always look forward to. It looks like it's going to be great weather. Come out and watch a race. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be racing under the lights there, which will be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Perfect. And we'll now go to the media for questions for today's NASCAR Cam guest, Matt Kenseth.
Thank you. The floor is now open for questions. If you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. If at any time your question has been answered, you can remove yourself from the queue by pressing 1. If you are using a speakerphone, we ask that while posing your question, you pick up your handset to provide favorable sound quality. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Please hold while we poll for questions. Our first question is from Jared Turner of Speed.com. Please ask your question.
Hey, Matt. Ricky Stenhouse has obviously made some tremendous strides this year in the Nationwide Series. To what do you attribute his success and his gains?
Well, Ricky's an extremely talented driver, and I'd probably contribute most of his success just to gaining experience and getting smarter. I mean, he's been really fast since he first got in one of these cars. He just struggled to make it to the end of the race. Sometimes his fault, sometimes not his fault, but just struggled, getting there and being there at the end. And it's been a lot of fun for me to watch him last year learn and keep getting stronger and better toward the end of the year. And you could see him getting smarter and picking and choosing the times, when to really, push the limits and when to maybe, back down and be smart and take your opportunity later in the race. So I think it's just experience. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think the experience is just starting to really pay off.
Is there any advice or insights you've been able to give Ricky along the way?
Well, I'm always there to answer any questions he ever has. He hasn't had a whole bunch of them, but a little bit last year when I got to run the Nationwide car just a little bit. Spent some time with him, and the last couple of years actually a little bit. So, I'm always there for advice if he ever needs it, and I've probably given him, a little bit, but not a lot.
That complete your question, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Our next question is from Dave Kalman of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Please state your question.
Hey, Matt. Looking at your team, specifically the 17, but also the company in general, can you just kind of compare where you guys are performance-wise to the same point last year?
Probably not. It's hard for me to remember the same point last year. It's hard for me to remember last week, really, but certainly overall until probably, I don't know when we made the turn last year, I guess August or September, it seemed like the organization started making the turn and having flashes of brilliance and performing better here and there. And then I'd say the last 2 months of the season last year, certainly, Carl won a bunch of races and Greg won a couple, and everybody started running good, and thankfully so far we've been able to continue that throughout the winter and keep improving our cars and coming out of the box, pretty competitive as an organization and as a team this year.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Please hold while we poll for questions. Our next question is from Dwight Drum of Racetake.com. Please state your question.
Thank you. Matt, what changes of the ones I'm going to mention here do you think has had the most impact on drivers and racing and NASCAR racing in recent years? The changes to the new car, the have at it policy of last year, or the simplified point system, or, points are now at a premium?
Well, some of the have at it rules or the point system or whatever, I don't think has really been a big thing to adapt for the drivers, at least from my perspective, because you're still going to, race the same and do your job and all that. I think the biggest change probably for most of the drivers, as well as the crews and teams and all that, is and this goes back a while, so it's hard to, it hasn't been changed the last couple of years, but really this car, when we switch platforms of the car, this car is, if the other car was black, this one is white, and it's just, they're totally opposite, and I think for me personally, it was hard to not necessarily get a feel for that new car, but to get a feel for it and know what you needed in it and help your crew chief and help your engineers, figure out things to try and what you wanted in it to make it drive the way you needed it to drive. It was just so different, and still so different than the old cars, which it's been a few years now, but it was a lot different than that other car, and it was a big adjustment. It's bigger for some of us than others, but it was a big adjustment.
Okay, and kind of like a follow-up on it, do you think that new car, did that give some of the younger drivers who didn't have the experience like the veterans, you guys, did that give them a little bit of an advantage?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think that the good teams and organizations, can adapt to whatever the rules are. One thing about NASCAR racing, when there's a rule change or something like that, it's the same for everybody. We all have the same notice, what the rules are going to be. We all got the same opportunity to prepare and be ready for that, and try to conquer that and do the best you can with it. So it's the same for everybody, and I think the good teams, will adapt quicker than other ones.
Thanks, Matt, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Next question is from Bill Fleischman of the Philadelphia Daily News. Please state your question.
Hi, Matt. Question about the new point system. We're only, 6 races into the season, but how do you like it? You must like your 9th in points, and I can't dislike it, but, can you equate the current points to what the old system was, or do you not worry about that? You just look at the points and say, I'm 24 behind Kyle now, and not too bad.
Yeah, I don't really look at the numbers as close as you might think. I'll glance at the standings once a week and just see where we are, and honestly, that's about it. So, I guess you could figure it out and figure out where you'd be if it was last year's system, but why? It's not. This is what we have to work under. So I think that one thing that I think has been a positive with it is really easy for everybody to understand. You don't have to be like, oh, it's 5 points of position until you get here, and then it's 3, and then it's one spot, 1 point a spot except for the winner. So there is definitely some things that are different about it. It's definitely going to change things all year and down the stretch. I think it's going to be harder to recover from problems than it used to be, because you used to get big, more points for being in the top 10 and top 5, and where now it's the same. It's linear all the way up unless you win. So it's going to be a little bit easier, I think, to get behind, a little bit harder to make up big chunks of points, from running good. So I think you're going to have to be fast. You're going to have to be up front and hopefully win some races and get them all important bonus points. But you're also going to have to be, consistent, not have very many of them real bad days.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Kyle Rickey of Motor Racing Network. Please state your question.
Hey, Matt, you guys obviously go to Texas this weekend. Was wondering what made that track different from some of the other 1.5-mile ovals that you guys compete on. What makes that track unique?
Man, it's funny. It seems like the media's dropped it a little bit, talking about the quote-unquote cookie-cutter tracks, but all the 1.5 miles are very unique now, especially with some of the tracks, pavement aging like Texas, and then you got a place where the pavement's real sticky now like Charlotte, and they're really all a lot different. So the biggest thing that's always made Texas so unique is it's real high banked and real fast, but the corner entry and exits are really, really flat, and it's always a challenge to negotiate that. There's a few bumps here and there, but the pavement's pretty wore out. The groove is moved around a lot where you can run the top and the bottom, and it's made for some really exciting racing lately, and I don't see that being any different this week. I think the racing will be great there, like it always is. So it is a unique track, and it's one that I always look forward to going to.
One more quick question for you. Pit road telemetry has been a big issue this week, leaving out of Martinsville in the media. What are your thoughts as a driver on that telemetry being readily available to you and mainly to everybody, to race fans included?
I don't know what you mean. Pit road telemetry.
As far as pit road, as far as speeding on pit road, I guess is where the issue came up in Martinsville.
Well, the speeding on pit road thing is always available to, as far as I know, is available to the crew chiefs or drivers or whatever. Whenever you ask for it, you can go afterwards into the trailer, and they'll give you the printout of what section you got caught in and how fast you're going and that type of thing. So I think that is available. I mean, the problem really comes. I mean, it depends who speeds and who talks about it, because that's when you guys cover it. I mean, they're speeding every week, but because Jimmy got caught speeding, then it's a big issue. Well, those guys especially. I mean, everybody's starting to get into it, but those guys especially for years have been figuring out where the timing lines are, and the only way they can get you on pit road is they time from line to line. The computer does, and if your pit box is in between two lines, they speed like crazy. And if you go a little bit too fast, over that line and get to the next segment, you're going to get caught speeding in that segment. So really, I think that's what it's about, is they're just trying to cheat the segments as much as they can, and probably just missed it by a few feet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Dave Kallman of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Please state your question.
Yeah, some of the talk early in the season has been about sort of the buzz being back, NASCAR, and maybe the economy's turning around a little bit, and things are headed in the right direction for such a sponsor-driven sport. At the same time, I guess, you guys don't have all the nationwide stuff funded, and I know you personally trying to put stuff together for Ross and whatnot. What's your perspective on this? Are we into a comeback, sort of economically and as far as racing is concerned?
Yeah, I missed the very first part of the question there, Dave. But the competition and stuff, I think, has been great. I think last year was a really entertaining year. I don't know how you could have much better racing than what we've had this year. I'm not sure what I think about Daytona, but a lot of people, I think, thought it was exciting. But I mean, you had a last lap pass at California. I didn't see the whole race at Martinsville yet, but I know they passed Kevin passed the lead real close to the end again. So I mean, there's been some thrilling and exciting racing. It seems like from where I stand, there's more people in the stands than what there was last year. It seems like the crowds are coming back, and they're really enthused, and they're seeing a great product. So it feels like we're back on the upswing, and hopefully the economy can continue to improve, so people can continue to afford to come to the races.
From a racer standpoint, I mean, I know you'd like to be running some nationwide races. Jack would like to have all his nationwide programs fully sponsored. Like I said, you're putting stuff together for your son. Are you seeing that there is an economic upturn as far as that's concerned, or are you just kind of hopeful?
Yeah, I mean, here's the real answer. I have no idea. So I don't really get involved in that side of it. I mean, me and Ross do some stuff together, and I'd love to find Ross a ride, in a nationwide or a truck or even a K&N car or something to get some laps in, a big car, and we do our Blaine's Farm Fleet deal up in Wisconsin and all that. But that's about as involved as I get as far as it comes to marketing with the sponsors or selling sponsors or knowing how much they pay or knowing the interest level there. I just don't really have any idea. I got my hands full with the competition side of it, and I've never really got into that side of it really, except for the stuff that I needed to know.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much. Our next question is from Robert DeRogi of BRD Broadcasting. Please state your question.
Thank you. Matt, we have a night race this week over at Texas. Can you explain to the race fans how much a difference it is for a driver to race at night? And what about you? Does night racing go along with your moods, or do you prefer daytime racing?
Well, I enjoy Saturday night racing for sure. I mean, we all grew up at, I shouldn't say all of us, most of us grew up racing Friday nights and Saturday nights at our local short tracks. I don't think I ever ran more than 3 or 4 Sunday races probably ever before I went NASCAR racing. So I mean, Saturday night races I think are fun. I think that the fans enjoy it. It gives them extra travel day. They probably have to miss less work and can get back home on Sunday and do that kind of stuff. So as far as a driver's perspective, the racing's not a lot different. The two biggest things really, I guess, is visibility. When we race at night, the visibility is much more constant. You know, you don't have the sun setting and shadows and have all that kind of stuff. The lighting systems are so good, and the surface doesn't vary as much. You know, your setups and all that will stay probably closer to the same throughout the whole race on a night race than it would during the day race with the sun and the clouds and the different things going on to the track conditions.
Thank you, and rack up a lot of points this weekend, okay?
All right, thanks. You must have me in your pool. Fantasy team.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next question is from Phil Thomas of Totally Racing. Please state your question.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Hi.
We're all excited with Kentucky Speedway being added to the schedule next year. What are your feelings on the track itself?
Well, I'm looking forward to getting there. I really don't have any experience at the track. We used to test there quite a bit before the testing rules came into place, and our particular team, for whatever reason, chose not to test there much. So I've probably only been there 3 or 4 times, and it's been a long time since I've been there. It's probably been 7 or 8 years or something like that, or 6 or 7 years. And I've never raced there, never been in competition or around other cars. So I don't know a lot about the track, but I'm looking forward to getting there. Getting on the track. I think they're having an open test day on the Thursday or something like that before the race. So I'm looking forward to getting on the track. It's always really fun to go to a new racetrack and to run the first Cup race they ever have there, because there's always so much excitement from the fans and the people from the surrounding areas and cities and all that. For us to come there and race. So it's always fun to be part of them those first events.
Good enough. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Dwight Drum of Racetake.com. Please state your question.
Matt, you've kind of mentioned along the way while you're talking here about the very similar thing that Jimmy Johnson has. He just kind of like keeps plowing and just kind of like ignores what's going on. Not ignore, but if you know what I mean, he focuses well. And you seem to just mention the same type of thing. It's like, look, I got my own plates full, just keep on that. And do you think that's a good common trait, and do you think that's the stuff of champions?
I'm really sorry, but I didn't understand the question. What was the question?
Okay, as far as you guys' ability to focus on just what you're doing and not be bothered by extraneous things, because you obviously have a lot of duties and everything. But do you think that ability to focus that Jimmy Johnson definitely has, and you have it also, do you think that is the stuff of champions?
Well, I think that anybody that does this job and does it with any kind of success and has been here very long has to have the ability to block things out and focus on the task at hand, for sure. I mean, things happen really, really fast. You have to be able to compute things fairly fast in your brain and make fairly quick decisions. So, yeah, I think certainly blocking out outside things or things that may be bothering you or what have you, I think, and certainly concentrating 100% on your job and the car and how to make it faster and how to get the best finish out of that day and all that type of stuff is certainly very important.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. Good luck.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Ashley, there appear to be no further questions at this time.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our call today. And, Matt, we do appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck this weekend at Texas.